Okay, let's talk a little bit about the specifics of each housing, what they're designed for, some of their specs. So we'll start over here. This is the iPhone 4, the water shot for iPhone 4/4S housing. The first key thing is this housing is designed for the iPhone 4 and 4S. Some of the key specs of this housing, it's a 40 meter rated, which is 130 feet rated housing, so you can take this down to 130 feet underwater. It has a locking latch that's this style shown here. You slide the lock with your thumb and open it here, and a hinge lid to install it here. It has 3 buttons that interface with the touchscreen and 1 button that interfaces with the home screen. This housing comes with a fixed port system, so it has a flat glass port that projects the same field of view as the camera. So the iPhone 4/4S have about a 60-degree field of view, so you'll have a 60-degree field of view coming through this glass port. So it's a high-quality optical glass port. Also, on the outside of the port, there are threads on this part here. Those threads are available so that you can thread on accessory lenses and filters onto the housing. The housing also has our standard tripod mount on the bottom, which allows for mounting standard camera tripod accessories as well as other mounting accessories. Next, let's talk about the iPhone 5. For the iPhone 5 and 5S, we actually have 2 housing offerings. We have the basic housing, which is shown here, and we have the Pro model, which is shown here. First, let's talk about the basic. So the basic housing, it fits the iPhone 5 and 5S. It has a fixed port system, just like the iPhone 4, which has the external threads for filters and lenses. It's also rated to 40 meters. It has the same style locking latch, where you slide the lock and snap the latch open. It has the same interface on the bottom, tripod mount, standard to all our housings. One difference from the iPhone 4, it actually has 5 buttons. 1 extra button that touches the touchscreen. So you now have 4 buttons that interface with the touchscreen and 1 home button. This allows a few more features within the app compared to the 3-button iPhone 4 housing. We also made for the iPhone 5 an upgraded or different model. So this is the Pro model. The key differences between the Pro model and the basic model are 2 things. One, this is rated to 60 meters or 195 feet underwater, whereas the basic model is rated to 40 meters or 130 feet underwater. And the second key area on the Pro model is the style of port. It actually comes with what we call is a removable port. So the whole area that holds the glass here, you can actually unthread and remove. So you can see here I'm unthreading it, and then you're able to actually remove this port. And what is nice about this is this housing, the Pro housing, includes 2 removable ports. One of the removable ports is a standard flat port, which does the same thing as the basic port. That's the one you see here. The second one is a wide-angle port. What's really exciting about this is now you can double the field of view of your phone. So now instead of a 60-degree field of view, you have a 110-degree field of view. And so it installs very simply, threads on this location right here onto the Pro housing, and now you have a wide-angle housing for your iPhone 5. If you prefer the standard field of view, you can just remove this and place on the standard port, which has the 60-degree field of view. One thing to note on this is when you take this port off, this is exposed, so you can't interchange these ports underwater. And when you're installing the port, make sure you're very careful to look at and make sure these seals are clean, and then fully thread the port onto the housing. Another fun feature about the Pro housing is this grip right here is removable. It comes in a yellow grip, but we sell it in other colors, so you can customize your housing for the colors that you would like. All the other features are the same between the 2 housings. They each have the same buttons in the same locations. They use the same style locking latch. So that's the difference between those housings. And now we'll move to our Samsung housings. So we have a Samsung S3 housing, which is for the S3 phone. It is a 60-meter rated housing, which is 195 feet, and it has a fixed port, which means it's not removable. So this port on this housing is the same as the iPhone 5 Basic and the same as the iPhone 4. It's got external threads, so you can add filters and lenses to the outside, but you can't take that entire port off. It also has a rubberized grip, which is nice for holding the housing. On the back, if you look at it, it has the same number of buttons as the iPhone 5 housings, but they're actually in a slightly different location. And this is just based on it being a bigger housing. We think this is a better location for the 4th button. So it has 4 buttons that touch the screen on the Galaxy phone, and then 1 home button. The other thing that's a little bit different about the Samsung housings is the style of latch. So it's a rotary latch, which is a little bit different, but it's still a locking latch. So that key feature is there's a lock right here. You pull up on the lock with your thumb, and then you rotate the latch this way about 180 degrees, and that actually forces open the back of the lid. It also still has same standard mount features on the bottom, tripod mount with the 3 screws for accessories or tripod camera mounts. And that's the S3 housing. The S4 housing in a lot of ways is similar, but there are a few differences. First of all, it's for the Samsung Galaxy S4 phone. It has a rubberized grip, which is the same as the S3. It has the same button configuration. It has the same style rotary latch. The main difference on the S4 is it has the removable port system. So you'll notice here that the S4 housing, you can remove the port just like you can on the iPhone 5 Pro housing, which is shown here, and install the wide-angle lens if you'd like. So the S4 does not come with both ports. It just comes with a standard flat port, but we sell the removable wide-angle port as an accessory. The last thing I want to talk about is we'll talk about pricing real quick. So the pricing, the MSRP pricing for the iPhone 4 housing is $99.99. For the iPhone 5 models, there's 2 prices because there's 2 housings. The basic iPhone 5 housing starts at $109.99, and then the Pro housing, which includes both lenses, both the standard port, removable port, and the wide-angle removable port, is $189.99. The Samsung Galaxy S3 housing is $139.99, and the Samsung Galaxy S4 housing with the removable port is $149.99.